Yo, what's up, everybody? I'm stuck in a parking spot. Hold on. I thought I was already out. Okay. Anyway, today, quick one for you. It's Friday. It's cold again. It's like super sunny and nice to cold. So I guess what that means is we're getting over winter here pretty soon. So I'll take it. But yeah, today, just kind of a quick one about some of these Joe Rogan podcasts that I've been listening to. I'm sure some of you guys are familiar with Joe Rogan. He's basically this guy. He's famous for Fear Factor and owning the UFC, and he's like into MMA and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and all this other kind of stuff. And he has this podcast, and I guess it's been long running, and I think like most of his shows are like an hour long or longer even. And he I heard this stat the other day that he's the most consumed content in the history of the world, minus maybe the Bible. So I mean, the dude has a lot of ears on him. So anyway, whether you like him, don't like him, whatever, one of the things he was talking about was his experience on DMT, right? And DMT is this drug that you take that supposedly replicates some sort of hormone that your pineal gland secretes, and it makes you trip out and all this other kind of crazy stuff. But it's nothing like I guess it's just like a trip or whatever, right? But supposedly again, this is stuff your body makes, and it's some people feel like it's like connecting you to like a higher dimension or something like that. Now let me just say, I'm not advocating anybody go and try this or anything like that, but what I wanted to get into was, what people will say is they go on these trips and then like they feel like they understand so much more about how the universe works and stuff, and then like they come back down to reality and like they can't remember it all because in this 3D kind of world that we live in, like a lot of the information that they collected doesn't translate, and then like they can only store so much information that they can't retain everything that they just learned on their trip. So it's really interesting. But one of the things he was talking about, which I thought was really cool, and it's just really 2 points I'll make, is number one, he said when he was like having the experience or whatever, he was walking around and like he would have all these thoughts and expressions, and what would manifest was like shapes, like geometry, right? So it's like you have a thought, and I don't know, I'm making this up, but like triangles and circles and squares and stuff starts forming, and it was kind of blowing his mind, right? So if you start thinking about like more of a simulation style reality that we live in or something like that, or kind of like seeing, it's almost like the Matrix, right? Where you're seeing the code stream down on the screen. He starts talking about that. That's interesting because if you read about all these occults and like the concept of shape warfare, which Dr. Wilson has an article on his website about, it basically what happens is he's saying like these shapes like imprint your subconscious, and they make you feel or do certain things. And if it's supposedly like if our thoughts, the output of our thoughts are shapes, then like you can kind of see how they could like implant shapes on us and make us have certain thoughts, right? Two-way kind of street. So kind of interesting. Some people feel like the $1 bill has some of these shapes on it, or some people feel like a lot of the logos for tech companies or big corporations, have some of these logos on it. So that's a whole other thing you can look up. But yeah, just kind of relating that DMT, thoughts are shapes, shape warfare article Dr. Wilson has on his website. That's a cool connection. And then the next one is he was talking about he was having a trip or whatever, and like he was realizing that he was having negative thoughts, and like when he was having these negative thoughts, like his reality was being impacted heavily. Like he was creating this cloud almost around him of like negativity, and then like it switched, and he was like, hey, I shouldn't be having these negative thoughts anymore, I should be having positive thoughts. So like when he switched, like the whole paradigm changed, and energy was uplifting, and he was happy and all this other kind of stuff, right? So we obviously talk a lot about the power of positive thinking, or just the power of your thoughts in general. Jesus touches on this with the power of thoughts, and how men who have adulterous thoughts, they're basically already committed it, like thus giving thoughts a lot more power than people really give them credit for, blah 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 blah. So yeah, and again, that's something that we just talk about as well for health, right? If you have healthy attitudes, healthy thoughts, then most likely the reality is going to reflect those, because you are creating that reality. You know, your perception, you're creating it. So that was cool too, because, you know, just imagine if you had the ability to see these things. Like, it's very energetic and abstract if you try to do it, you know, right now. Like, I can't really make up how my thoughts form shapes and how my thoughts form like cloudy darkness or sunny sunshine, you know what I mean? But, you know, if the veil is thinned, or if you have like another lens that you're looking through, you know, then yeah, you can kind of start seeing how this stuff might really be that way. One example of not being able to see what you think you're seeing is if you were a two-dimensional being and you looked at a cylinder, right? Well, what would you see? Well, a lot of people would see a rectangle, right? Because if you cut it that way, you'd see the rectangle shape of it. If you cut it, you know, across the middle, you'd see a circle, right? So some people are going to see a rectangle, some people are going to see a circle. The reality is it's neither of those, it's both of those, right? So, you know, that's just like something to think about when people start talking about like higher dimensions and, you know, seeing things that we can't really comprehend. You know, it's easier for us, I feel like, to go to a lower dimension where we're, you know, a step above it, and then, you know, take it from that point and see it. So, yeah, I mean, check it out on YouTube. I know Lewis talks about DMT, and it kind of was something that got him interested in his whole health kick, and like, what's this human body? Is it more than what meets the eye and all that kind of stuff? And again, I'm not advocating it or anything like that, but I thought they were interesting takeaways, and I just kind of want to throw it out there. So anyway, it's Friday, so God bless everybody. Have a good weekend, and you know, keep on keeping on.